So I guess it was abandoned ship tonight. We've got Chip and Don here. Mark has a ailing horse. Eric has a death in the family. Joey is chasing Tobot somewhere. Otisir is protesting in downtown Washington D.C. I have no idea. I
Oh man.
but the beauty of the Knives Templars, as we have grown, each time we have an episode, we bring on an honorary Templar, and if they get voted in, we have a guest tonight that we'll be bringing in, and we'll see if he makes it and he gets to be an honorary Templar. But every so often, we identify some talent that's too ugly for TV, but just beautiful for podcast and radio. So, with all that being said, I am tickled. We have what we call the host. That would be me because I have the money for this thing. Not that you guys don't, but I own the domain name. How that sounds better. I own the domain name. We've got Don and the boys who are our co-host, and then we
Hey.
have our hey Don. Then we have our exciting guest host, and our guest hosts are uh, available to come on at any time. And if we ever expand the panel, someone told me one time you got too many people on that podcast. I don't think you can ever have too many people in a room as long as you don't break fire code. But we got Big Hand Dave and Jason Fry with us tonight, and hey,
Hey.
they are on. They are on. Well, it goes like this: Jason Fry, if you give me fast track me into the guild with that single knife I showed you at Blade Show, I'll make you a full fledged host.
Ooh, okay. That'll
You
work.
th- you think about it, and you say,
I'm not sure I can pull that off,
Yeah.
Chip. But
Then-
thanks for the opportunity.
then you will have to remain. Then you will have to remain a guest host. But honestly, I love you, brother. Love Big Hand Dave. Good
All good.
guys.
All good.
As soon as we have an opening or we expand and technology allows us, you guys are next in line to become full-time regulars. Matter of fact, you come on anytime you want. With that being said, I've got one important thing to say right now.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
Get ready, y'all. We about to Bobby Boucher you. Bam!
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce.
You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast, featuring Otisir Special Sauce Pinto.
I was a mean kid.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers,
Holy crap, I built something.
Don the Train Watson,
I can pay off all my credit cards and beef jerky credit line at Bucky.
Joey the Riot Terrier,
Cochon de lait will make you smack your lips and anyone getting too close to your plate.
Mark Vasallo.
You drinking my soupy?
and Chip Shegman Carlisle. And now broadcasting alive, it's the Knives Templars. Coming to you live from Porkhouse Studios located in Hartselle, Alabama and other U.S. locations. This is the Knives Templars podcast. We are the coolest knife-making podcast on the planet, and we are downloaded around this big blue marble in over 24 countries. We are on air, on demand, and heard worldwide in all of your favorite apps and at knivestemplars.com. Man, oh man, that is some fancy voiceover work there, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Did a
Kinda
good job.
Yeah, pretty
Had
serious.
my man,
Good.
this is the first time we've actually been able to plug in our audio going into it, and it was nice watching your faces smile as you heard different segments coming into that. So I'm going to have to get something funny Big Hand Dave says sometime, and Dave, it's when you least expect it. I'll get something and it'll be in there. And I got Jason's already. So matter of fact, we quote that. Do you remember what it is, Jason?
Well, I heard it for the first time today. This voiceover you just had about the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the
There you
moon.
go. There you go. So when you were funny and you didn't even know it. You didn't even know it. With all that being said, um, where are we coming in tonight? Because you know what, we're heard in over 34 countries. I go in and count occasionally. 34 countries. Don, where and what country and where are you calling in from tonight?
I'm calling from Florida and the USA.
Florida, USA.
Yes.
Big Hand Dave.
Muscle Shoals,
Roll
Alabama.
Tide, brother. Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Jason Fry.
I'm coming out of Lubbock,
What's
Texas.
the temperature in Lubbock, Texas today, my friend?
174.
Mm.
No, I think it's about 102.
Is that
102 today, something like that. Yeah.
But that's Celsius, right?
Something like that. No, we actually are expecting thunderstorms this evening. It'll cool off a little
It'll
bit.
be down to 98. That's great and humid.
Exactly. Practically winter.
Well, we've got someone else special on here, man. He's got quite a smile, but I'm not going to let him talk yet because he's our pops Maker's Mark guy. And y'all are going to be so excited to hear who we've got here tonight. If you were at Blade Show or you've seen this guy on social media, you are going to be very excited. Hey, guys, this is episode 36, and I don't care what Kyle says. We are the #1 podcast out there. And when I say that, I got to thank Kyle Daly for covering for me last time. I was sick. I was sick. And listening to you guys record, I was like, man, I better – don't become a dinosaur. Keep your skills up because Kyle's going to take over if you don't do it. But I think I'm like 0.0001% better than Kyle Daly. And I say that in jest. Kyle, thank you for helping us out on the last show. But we are the best podcast out there to teach rising and established makers like you guys listening to pave your way into knife making as a hobby or even as a business. We're going to talk to a guy tonight, certainly, who has turned it over into a business. As I mentioned, we're heard in over 34 countries, and we want to thank you for your listenership, making us the best rising podcast for knife making on the planet. Please subscribe to our podcast when you're if you're listening to Google, Spotify, Amazon. Who did I leave out? Google, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, any of the podcast providers out there, go down and hit the subscribe button so you get to hear every episode, and we'll let you know when we're on. Gentlemen, have you been to knivestemplars.com?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
I've got David Moore out there as the new podcast co-host or guest host, I should say. See, I almost messed up there, Dave. You were going to be able to get me from a legal standpoint and file suit that I said it publicly over the airwaves, which is big time wrong. But our Dave is the nicest guy. I don't think he'd ever do anything wrong to anybody, but he could if he wanted to. He got that one big hand. There are two.
They're both big, but it's kind of hard to say the big hands, Dave, or both big hands, Dave. I don't know that. We can talk to Ken on that one. It was just big hand, Dave.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I tell you, I saw that you. I thought actually was calling you Big Hands, Dave, until I realized it was just singular, and so I was just stalking you a while back, and it was like there's some pictures of you with your hand up to other people's hands and this, that, and the other, and there's only one hand, so I started wondering, is the other hand the same or not? Because you always put that one hand down, but yes, you have two hands.
Yeah, I think I've got to find a picture. I think I've got me and Jason Fry in one back
I think so.
when we were at Bastrop back a few years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It's just that one big ear hanging out of your headphones, and the other one you can't see it. So you truly are big ear, Dave. But trust me, you're 10% more handsome than I am. Hey guys, what we want to tell you about knivestemplars.com. You need to head out there, getting ready to add Dave to the website as a guest host, but also get your mark out there. You know, the Maker's Mark that we've done through Pop's Knife Supply since about episode 10 has been important because it's giving makers a voice. It's giving them a face out there. I mean, you may already have your social media and this, that, and the other, but we're putting your name out there in print and so. And if somebody pops up, does a search for you, you're going to pop up that you're attached to this website, and they're going to see a link, and they can be redirected right back to your knife making page, social media, or this, that, and the other. So if you want to be added to the Knives Templars website as part of the nation, Knives Templar Nation, send me an email. There's a link right under all those names where you can send your email to me, and I'll get a graphic from you, and we'll get you loaded right up. I didn't eat dinner tonight. I was working feverishly to get many things done prior to this, so I guess I want to see the menu tonight. So anybody second that?
Second.
All right, we got thirds. Well, on the menu tonight, we've got a brew review, and we're going to give you a little news and useful information. We've got some feedback from a guy named David. Y'all will recognize his name a little bit later. We've got Big Pecs Jake. It's not Big Peck Jake, is it, Jake? Don't say who you are. It's not Big Peck. You got equal. Your pecs are the same size, right?
Equal in size? I hope so.
Your lats are they? I mean, have you ever competed in bodybuilding or anything?
Yes, sir. My last competition was when I was 19, so it's been 4 years
Yeah,
now.
so you don't want to go in with one pec small and one high. That just looks lopsided on the stage.
You got to have symmetry when it comes to that. I can't just have. I mean, I could probably afford to have one big hand, but I don't think it'd be judged too harshly in that aspect.
No, only if you had one big arm would people judge you harshly.
That's where it would be a little bit harder.
Exactly. Sorry, the old guys are just laughing here. But we know that you need equal pecs, lats, biceps, triceps, and all that. So it takes away from that gold lame Speedo G-string thing you're wearing on stage. So I'm just going to take myself away from that thought right now. But Jake, welcome to the show, and we're going to stop right there. In addition to that, we've got some great topics tonight. I wanted to jump into the topics as well as with Jason Fry. We've got him live tonight. Man, we may get double duty. I'm going to play you a tip because he's got some beautiful ones. And if you haven't bought his book yet, guys, it sits in my shop. And when I'm watching glue dry or listening to a little Blaze Foley, watching the stars go by and sipping on a little glass of bourbon, I pull out that Jason Fry book and I just start going through it and applying it to my shop. And I will tell you, you may have like 101 ways to make money and buy that off of TV or as seen on TV. Trust me, don't buy those books. But if you want to become a better knife maker, I can tell you where to find the right book tonight. Then we're going to talk a little bit about our week ahead and so on. But guys, are we ready for the brew review?
Oh yeah, do it, Chip.
We are ready.
Well, the sad part about that is I did not remember to add the brew review to my sound effects. And, we're just going to have to make some noise here. So, Don, tell us about what you're drinking tonight.
Well, Chip, I'm drinking my old favorite cacao, Creole brew. And it's a chocolate drink made from the cocoa bean, or whatever you're going to call it, chocolate bean. And it's very smooth, a little bit of cream. It's just a wonderful thing before you go to bed. Beautiful. Huh.
So we are drinking that cow still. That's good. And I'm still looking for my beer. I guess my beer thing's not as important as I thought it was. Jason, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking sweet tea out of a Sonic cup.
Now did the sweet tea come from Sonic?
It did not. I got a water this morning, and I drank two glasses of water, and I just poured some tea in there for this. So,
all right. Well, hey, Dave, you're a musician, right? Can you do a little beer opening noise for us? Here, try this. Thank you, Dave. Glug, 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 glug. But Dave, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking unsweet tea out of a Yeti cup.
Go Yeti.
With wood grain.
Cousin of the Yeti's a really good friend of mine. That is right.
Sasquatch.
That is right. I love the Sasquatch.
Unsweet tea?
I know.
unsweet tea.
In Alabama?
He's got the diabetes. He's got the
And
diabetes.
That's important to note too. That's good reason.
See, in Alabama, you don't say I have diabetes. You go, I got the diabetes. I got the diabetes.
Diabetes.
or the
Yeah.
sugar.
Diabetes.
So yeah, I have to watch my sugar levels too. So what am I drinking tonight, man? I've got like 3 fists here, but I didn't have dinner. I'm holding up for you gentlemen right now, and I love sound effects. Let's see here. Woo, that's smooth. I am drinking some Bullet bourbon, and I discovered that. You guys are going to like, man, it's been around a while, but I was looking for some Knob Creek, and the guy behind the counter said, we ain't got no Knob Creek. We're out of Knob Creek. I said, well, I can understand that. I said, well, what you got that's good in Knob Creek? He pointed at that bottle, and that bottle's $140. I said, I'm not that rich, sir. He goes, well, look at that $50 bottle over there. It said Bullet on it. I said, well, tell me about it. He said, they drink that on that show Yellowstone. They pour it like water. I said, well, I have to have that then. I mean, I've never really watched a full episode of Yellowstone, but it's a popular show. And what's that guy that beats everybody up on Yellowstone?
Rip.
Yeah.
Rip.
Yeah.
And they do drink that Bullet pretty seriously.
So
on that
if
show.
Rip is drinking Bullet, I want to be like Rip. I want to, because he's a cool dude. And other than that, I'm chasing it with a little Michelob Ultra tonight because you know what? You got to flush the kidneys after you drink alcohol, and Michelob is just a pure low carb. What do you call it? It gives you some more moisture in your body. It hydrates you, and it's good. And that's all I got to say tonight. That's it. I'm just kind of laid back. It's been a rush day.
I will have to say, I did make a suggestion to Chip. So, upcoming, there is going to be a brew review that, for people in the state of Alabama, is going to be amazing.
Okay.
And I'll just leave that teaser there for
There
you.
is going to be a brew review. Is that really going to come to life?
I hope
Well, if not,
so.
you'll have to talk about it. But Grandma, if she's selling brew, that's all I have to say. Yes, I'll buy Grandma's brew. And for my special friend out there who's listening to the podcast, yes, the purple juice is quite good.
Oh, yeah.
You need some purple drink. And it's not purple drink is not Kool-Aid or grape soda. It's just purple drink, and it's good. Anyway, we're going to stop there because I don't want to go any further than that. You guys want to hear some news?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
I got
Yes,
some
sir.
excellent news for you. Listen to this. Hey, listeners, if you think about a visionary or a person that sets the new standard in knife work or forging in general, people think of Brian Housework. He's got housemade.us, and over at Housemade, we encourage you to go out and take a look at his products. This is a site where you can go out and you can buy plans, kits, forging tools, etc. And start with taking a look at the Revolution 2x72 grinder. You can get build plans, digital 3D CAD, and step files, printed plans as well. Additionally, he is making waves with the new Apollo Forge and Apollo Forge products. You can go out there and get a DIY kit, plans, CAD files, purchase your ribbon burner, your air funnels, and certainly other accessories that you need to create one of the most wonderful forges known to metal workers. I encourage you to go to housemade.us and see what Brian has to offer. Could I sound any more somber than that?
No, you could not.
Oh my goodness! I was playing that.
It's like a radio announcer at a funeral there.
Wait or something.
I said I was rushing to get it on the air tonight, but hey, let me tell you about my.
Sounded great.
Jake, you're a snake. Hey, let me tell you this here. I did not give that ad justice, and I'm going to go back and remake that sucker. I am excited for Houseworks. Housemade.us. I had the opportunity to use an Apollo Forge and witnessed some guys manufacturing some brute to forge blades and doing some copper kumai this past week at the Alabama Custom Knife Makers Guild. And this is the ribbon burner forge that he's got, the Apollo. And I tell you what, the consistency in the heat, how quickly things heat up. People will say that you only have to run it at a few psi versus running it at 10 or 12 psi, like on my Majestic or this, that, and the other. Brian will tell you he doesn't know if that's apples to apples on that because you're mixing it with air and such. But and where it takes the reading. But I will tell you, it is a wonderful machine. So much so that I have dedicated the rest of my summer to selling enough knives to get myself an Apollo forge. Will I get rid of my Majestic? By no means. But my Apollo, it's a 3-burner Majestic, great forge. Love it. But the Apollo, man, I think that the Apollo is going to be the standard for the future of knife making and forging. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, I heard good things about it. I know Brian, so yeah, anything he makes is top shelf. So,
Is he's a visionary, man. I mean, I tell you what,
yep.
he dreamed something up, and I mean, look at this, the Revolution, the grinder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people are out making those and making beautiful knives with them? Matter of fact, right after Blade Show, he brought Dennis Tyrell and a group of guys down there, and they sat and put together a 2-burner ribbon burner forge together.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think the video's out on YouTube or Facebook or something, and just amazing they work that they do. And the fact is that if you can take this equipment and buy the parts or buy the plans and CAD them out and cut them out yourself if you've got the right equipment, it's just amazing what you can do with yourself. So if my excitement dwithered away during that poorly emotional plea for you guys to go out and see Brian at housemade.us, my apologies, and hopefully I've made up for it here, Brian. And guys, his Revolution grinder, his platens, his forges, his T-shirts. He's selling Kyle Daly straightening hammers and just a little bit of everything. And the good news is that the warranty is going to be great because he actually has a clone of himself, so that that when Brian is old and gone, that is his son, who looks just like him, same glasses,
Yeah, it
same
does.
haircut, same everything, is going to hopefully carry on that business. So, hey, Jake, guys like you that are young and have got the next 80 years to make knives, you just stay close to Housemade. Hey, aren't you down in Florida, Jake? Are you in Florida?
Well, we moved to Georgia January of this year, so I'm back. I'm actually 15 minutes away from Alabama, from the Alabama line. I live in Harris County, Georgia, about 15 minutes away from Dave. If you know where Phoenix City is,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like right down the road from Phoenix City, so
Well,
right on the Alabama line.
why in the world have you not driven over to Alabama Custom Knife Makers Guild meeting yet? You are invited, sir, but we'll talk about it a little later. We need you to
I didn't know it was that close.
Let me explain this to you. We need you. Well, it's over here in the Huntsville area. So that's 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from you. You need to join the Alabama Guild. And you know what? I've got enough Hampton points. I'll put you up in a hotel overnight. Or if you want to, we got the whole upstairs of our house available. You and the wife and kids, we'll talk about it later. You come over and go to a meeting and shoot home. Or you can just come by yourself and shoot home the next day, because I want to stay
Oh,
close.
that'd be
I want to
awesome.
stay close to you, respectively speaking, because I see you as one of the up and comings in the future with the work you're doing. But enough there,
Thank you so much.
because I almost let the cat out of the bag again. So with that being said, let's let the Russian tiger out of the bag. We'll be right back.
Oh wait, is
Oleg
this
Bashevik has been making stabilized wood and other supplies for knife makers for almost a decade. His stabilized wood products have been used by many of the best and most well-known knife makers in the world. This wood, when turned into knife parts, are stable to humidity, water, snow, oils, and other materials that would prematurely wear out a knife handle. He works out of his shop in Tula, Russia, and produces natural wood products that are as beautiful as Russia's famed Fabergé eggs. Knife makers around the world will tell you that his blocks should not be cut and placed on display. Oleg has distribution centers in Russia and in the United States. He's shipping right out of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, so if you're looking for something in the States, you can have it in just a few days. I guarantee you'll be excited to get your package that comes wrapped beautifully, already polished, so that you can see the most beautiful grain and colors that he impregnates into each piece of wood. You can find Oleg not only on Facebook, but you can also find him at knife-wood.com. That's knife-wood.com on the internet. Go out and take a look at Oleg's products. I'm guaranteeing you'll be happy to put them on your next knife. And now back to the show. Jake, have you ever had your hand on any of Oleg's wood?
I have never. The only wood I've ever worked with is koa and mango wood. So I haven't gotten too deep into the game of using wood handles or scales or anything like that. But
yeah, well, I can tell you, if you get into making some full tang or hidden tangs or this, that, and the other, because the stuff you're doing, you're going to talk about later. I tell you what, you definitely want to get some of Oleg's woods in your hand. So you were about to say before you interrupted my advertisement.
I was that leeway into the ad. I almost didn't catch it, and then when it started, I was like, "Oh no!" So is this supposed to be a secret? Who I am until the cat's out of the bag?
Of course, you're just Jake with lopsided pecs right now because you haven't been able to work out for 8 months. So
that's true.
Which side do you carry your son on?
Right. I'm right-handed.
So your left pec. You've got to move him to both sides. That way you keep the. It's all about distribution of weight.
I think people
Symmetry.
will catch the hint of who I am by me having the voice of a 12-year-old. So it could be a dead giveaway.
You don't sound like a 12-year-old. you sound. If I had to say, you sound like one of the Wonder Twins, the guy Wonder Twin. You remember that show?
The Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen.
It was about 30 years before you were born, but you sound like one of the Wonder Twins.
Activate.
Yeah, let me hear you say activate form of a tiger.
Activate the form of a tiger?
Sorry.
Or do I have to say it more enthusiastic than that?
Next. He does. Yeah, he's not going to get you didn't get the part. No. Go ahead, Dave. Do it for him, Dave.
Wonder Twins, activate waterfall.
Okay, there we
Dave,
go.
you do have a very good narrator voice. You could narrate a movie, I'm sure.
Well, the fact is that most of our demographic is the 59 to 105-year-old group that they all understand this. So Don's like, yes, I love the Wonder Twins. I've still got the action figures. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into a little bit of news here. I need to make sure that my buddy Troy Prather, I think I said that right. He and Ethan Lee, Louisiana Custom Knife Show is going to be September 9th, 2023, and it's Louisiana's premier knife show. It's going to have multiple vendors, and it's sponsored by Austin Outdoors, Andrew Smith, Texas Knife Steel, Nicholas Damascus, HGP Legacy, Red Stick Roofing, Grain Creations, Paragon Industries, if you're looking for a good oven, and it's hosted by the Louisiana Custom Knife Association. Hey guys, if you want to be a part, get a booth, what you need to do is go to lacustomknives.net and sign up for a booth or get your tickets to go see that one-day show. It is a premiere show. Matter of fact, we're going to have Sarah with Sikowski Scales. You're going to see Chris Jones, a wonderful, beautiful culinary knives. And I'm not sure if Chris is a member of the guild or not, but he runs with you guys over there in Texas, Jason. Very excellent. Do you know Chris?
I've met him a couple
Yeah,
of times. Yeah, yeah,
wonderful.
nice
Yeah,
fellow.
wonderful gentleman, and our very own Joey Terrio. And I tell you what, Joey is putting out some of the most. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I don't like Joey anymore because he makes such beautiful knives, and that's the 13-year-old girl in me. And in this day and age, I can be a 13-year-old girl if I want to be a 13-year-old girl, right?
Yeah.
Something
And his
like that.
leather work's awesome too.
Oh gosh, it is. Don't you be hating me. Don't you be hating me, Big Hand Dave. You got to accept me for who I am. Um, as I'm wearing my lightning bolt do rag tonight, I got a haircut today. I didn't. I should have left it out for you guys to see, but I took a little nap, and one side of it was sticking that way, so I went do rag on you guys. Hey guys, you got any other shows or anything coming up that you know is going to happen?
Mm-mm. Not that I
Dave,
know of.
well, Dave, did you went over to Atlanta last week? Did you do what you were supposed to do over there?
Yeah, I went and actually saw Wicked, the Broadway musical Wicked over there. So that was a treat to get away for the weekend. And of course, I missed the Alabama Custom
We
Knife Maker
missed you.
Guild meeting, but hopefully I'll be able to make the next one. But we do have a cut coming up for Blade Sports, and it'd be August the 21st. Let me look real quick. I think it is August the
Gotcha.
26th in Meadville,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. So it'll be up there for with a Peter's Heat Treat.
So if you need
So looking
you,
forward to
you need to
that
heat
one.
treat Peter, that's the place to go, right?
That's right. If you need Peter to heat treat
There
some
you
steel,
go.
that's where you
There
Yeah, I
need to
you
heard he's
go.
go.
probably one of the best. They're the best out there.
Yeah, Brad knows his
Yeah,
business for sure, for
Well,
sure.
I
yeah.
thought you were going out to hang out with somebody in Atlanta. Have you not done that yet? In the Atlanta?
I haven't done
Uh,
that yet. That's
so that's something
upcoming.
we're
So
going to
I
keep
will.
that one in the bag right now.
We're gonna keep that one in the bag. But that actually, he lives just a few miles over the line, so not quite in Atlanta now. So yeah, that's upcoming, and there'll be some videos and things that I can't deny. So we'll post that out there. But yeah, we're gonna keep that in the bag for right now. But I'm
Well,
excited, very
not only
excited.
the royalty of Big Hand Dave, he's got a major motion picture YouTuber that's he's
Oh,
going to be doing some work with. Matter of fact, you ought to let me go over there and just watch so I can write a blog post and take some photos of this. I'm just trying to get through the door so I can hang out with you. But if you do that, trust me, I will buy your burgers and pay for your hotel rooms, unless we get to sleep in his shop.
I'm Takes a pretty big burger to fit in
oh,
my
I
here
hands.
we
can,
I'm
I
go.
can, I
just
can fill
saying.
them big hands with big burgers. You trust me. You trust me right there. Hey, the got some feedback, and as you know, we've been getting more and more feedback, and this one's a question this week. So if there's no other news, I'm going to jump right into it. We got a gentleman by the name of David Haupt. You guys remember that name? Go
Oh
ahead,
yeah,
Don.
that's
Yeah,
Meat Custom Knives.
he's a Florida guy, and he's been on our show before. He's a honorary Templar, and he sent us a message this week through our general communications with you guys. If you have questions, just go to the website. You can email your questions or comments, or tell me that I need to shut up and let Big Hand Dave talk more, or Jason Fry. That's just fine. I'll take that advice. But also, you can submit any questions or comments that you have out there. Lots of things you can do through knivestemplars.com. David says this week, hey guys, checking in to say hi. Hi, David. Everybody say hey, David.
Hey, David.
What's
Hey,
up,
Yeah,
Hey,
David.
David?
it's good to
David.
hear from you. He serves our country in the Air Force, and he's quite a wonderful, wonderful. Not only a great knife maker, an excellent father and husband. I love to follow his story. He's just good. He says, "What sharpening systems are y'all?" He's Southern, it looks like. Using on your culinary knives. I'm looking for a new method that expedites the process while keeping a consistent bevel angle, but doesn't cost too much. I've seen the wasabi sharpening system and thought that might work. What do y'all have in the work that works well? Also, Mark bringing up Mop 4 had me sweating in my car on my way to work. Mop 4, I guess that was military from the last show. Something about
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, Yeah, I'll have to ask more about that. I don't know enough to even speak about it, but it sounds like something dangerous. Thanks for that. I once spent a week in Mississippi in the summer on an exercise where we were in our gas mask most of the time. It rained the whole week, and the water collected in my rubber Kim boots. Ended up with mild trench foot. Good times. Anyway, keep up the great work, guys. So I guess I can kind of think about what mop may exist or what it may be for, and I'm glad that I'm a lazy fat guy that lives in Alabama and don't have to do that. Guys, what are you doing to sharpen those culinary blades?
Well, for me, I have I made my own sharpening system for my
A
mirror blade.
fine, a fine one at that.
Thank you, thank you. And then my boy Eric, I made it and I used mine for a year, and then he comes out with one of them. They end up bringing one out, but I also use a AMK 1x30. I like that.
I use both of those as well.
Tell
Yeah,
us about it,
AMK.
Jake. Tell us about it, Jake.
So I caught it towards the very end. He was saying without breaking the budget, and that would kind of go outside of the lines of that because if I can remember correctly, I believe the AMKs are 700 and above as far as price point goes. But the AMK is a phenomenal sharpener. Is very, very good, not just for culinary knives. It's sound like I'm doing an ad for them now, but
Oh,
it
do
is
it.
a phenomenal sharpener.
It is.
And I've used a lot of systems like the Wicked Edge and everything like that. But as far as putting an edge on a knife, that AMK is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. Sure is.
Now, are you sponsored by them or?
I'm not.
No,
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 sir.
no, no. That's quite all right because that's wonderful. I'm looking at one right now, and actually, it looks very similar to the sharpener that I use. I'm looking at their 1x30, and it's currently $849. Beautiful
Right.
sharpener, and you can find that over at amktactical.com and click on the 1x30 sharpener. So basically, it's kind of like the. I hate to go back to this because I still use a Lansky for field sharpening or for just touching up knives. Less and less, but I still you can't go wrong with a Lansky. For the everyday guy to have a Lansky in his toolbox is a great thing. But it's got a Lansky type clamp that's on a straight bar that allows you to set an angle with a horizontal bar and move that knife back and forth across the blade. Am I describing that correctly?
Yes, correct.
That sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
So what are you finding with that when you're using that? I mean, tell me a little bit about how you set it up and how it works.
Go ahead, Jake. I'll let you do it. You're the man of the hour.
So
Go ahead.
basically, you might know the terminology better than I do, Don, but yeah, there's actually a fixed angle where you can set the height of the AMK wherever you're going to sharpen it, and then there's a clamp, so you can set the what would the right word be for what you clamp it to? Would it be like a dowel or something like a
A steel rod, yeah,
Steel
steel
rod,
rod? Yeah,
yeah, and
and then you can actually.
I was going to say it's got that Lansky type clamp in it that allows you to clamp the and secure the knife in at a perfect angle. So when you lay it into the belt, it's going to hold that
It's
angle.
centered. It's centered. The way
Right.
they
Thank,
made
thank
that clamp, it's centered with the shaft of the. Because a lot of times you have them
And
clamps, they don't center out right. They'll be off a little bit. But this one here centers. Well, he made Alan. I know Alan at AMK. He made this pretty good. Done a good job.
And then I believe you can buy the belts at Harbor Freight too.
Oh wow, yeah.
Just
Well,
Yeah, they're
you
one
can
cheaper
by 30.
sharpener or
One by
cheaper
30. Up
belts and
you
pops.
can
everything.
get yeah. I was going to say if Harbor Freight, you can get 120s and 80s. So probably want to hit our buddies up at Pops and get those finer belts and even the leather stropping belt for something like that.
Right.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Go ahead, Don.
I tell you what I use, and I sharpen other people's knives. That's the reason why I went that route because when I started selling knives, I had people ask me, "Hey, man, you sharpen knives?" And I used to say, "Yeah, I'm on." And then I just left money on the table, and I charged like $6 a knife. And so here they come with 4, 5, 6, 8 knives, and I'm sharpening the knives. Well, what I found out, the best, I became friends with a guy. He's a professional sharpener out of South Carolina. He's a retired man, and he started a business of doing that, and that's what he uses. And that's the reason I went that route with the AMK. But I use one starting out. See, the thing is with the Lansky, I have a Lansky. I started out with a Lansky, and it's all day long. I mean, when you have a blade that's hardened at 61 and a half pops 8670, and you even though you got the diamond, it takes a while.
You
And I
better have a
figured,
couple hours
yeah,
available,
you
right?
better have a couple Michelob lights,
Right.
a couple Michelobs.
Yeah.
But but no, I was
And
just going to tell them if I use a one, I use my attack on a blade. I use a 120 grit. Then I don't use aluminum oxide because they just don't wear. They wear fast. So I use a ceramic, a pops 1x30 ceramic, and then I go to a Trizac. I can't remember what it is, 830. It's a 240 grit Trizac, and then there I go to a felt belt, just a white felt belt with white compound. And I'm telling you, man, it will friggin' that's amazing, man, how sharp it can get, man, just using that. If
listen
you want to
at you.
go up higher
Listen at you.
grits, you can.
Save a ton of time too with the
Oh, it's
AMK.
quick. It's
It's
quick.
amazing how you can sharpen a knife with a dime thickness because it hasn't been sharpened yet. It's coming out of heat treat, and you can sharpen
Right.
a dime thickness down to a razor sharp finish in about 5-10 minutes, and you're just like, yeah,
Oh, I know. In no time,
yeah.
And
that AMK is phenomenal at doing that.
I'll tell you
Well,
something else
yeah,
with
go
that.
ahead.
I was going to say, well, when using AMK or using the one from Ameribraid, you're sharpening. Um, it's called edge trailing, not edge leading. And so when you
Right.
edge trail, you have a bigger burr. The burr's kind of harder to get off because the belt is trailing the edge, and it don't pop off like you do when you're doing it freehand and whatever.
I
So
have
that
a, I have a, I have a trick for that, just so you know. But go ahead.
Well, what I do to solve that, because it will not cut. You can have it down good and go in with a piece of paper. I done this, and I was with a guy. He came over and I sharpened his knife. And first thing I do, I take a piece of paper and try to cut a piece of paper with it. And he goes, "Man, that's dull." And so I went through my route, my grits, came out, and it just like it wouldn't cut. And I went, "What the world, man?" And he looked at me and I said, "Hold on a minute." I went right back to that felt belt and did it a couple more times, and it just sliced through paper, just smooth as so. What it was, that bird, it come off. It
Yeah.
Right.
didn't come off like it should have. So
Well, I have a $200, and let me go check because I'm checking the site right now. For $250, you can buy the AmeriBraid kit sharpening attachment, which comes with the arm, the horizontal bar, the holder rod assembly that has the clamps that centers the blade, and so that's $250. Matter of fact, Mark picked one up at Blade Show for 180, which was a floor sample.
mhm.
And so here's my trick to that. I don't run the machine backwards. It's great that you can run the AmeriBraids in reverse, but I run it in the standard forward rotation, and I do the same belt progression that you do, Don. And of course, you would never take a belt to a leather strop running in the forward
Yeah,
position, or you'd
he's
be
gonna do.
you'd be you'd be spending $75 a pop at about every
Yeah,
3 seconds,
yeah,
and then beating yourself in the head every time that one popped around and hit you and said, "Hey, stupid, run it in the other direction." So what I do is I do all of my grinding in the forward direction. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, AmeriBraid does not recommend that. When I talked to them at the show, they said that's fine. They know it works, but please tell our customers to run it this way. So that's good. I run it the other way, run it forward, and then I go to my old standby Harbor Freight 1x30. I've got some 1x30 leather stropping belts. I got 3 of them. And guys, I keep them sealed when they're not in use. I've got a little silica bag that I keep in there to keep them from stretching out. Hit them with some white compound, and just like you were saying, Don, if I go to hit telephone book paper, if you can even get a telephone book these days, it
yeah.
I have to go and
What's
cut.
a telephone
I have
book?
to go to yellowpages.com and cut the edge off of my computer. So, but with that being said, I hit it a few passes back and forth on that leather strop with the white compound, and I can just feather right through. I wouldn't say tissue paper, and I'm not one of these guys that, hey, who's out cutting tissue paper, but I can cut telephone book paper or magazine paper all day long with no issues. It is the greatest system that I enjoy. Dave, Jason, what are you guys doing?
I'm listening real careful to you guys about how to improve what I'm currently doing.
What do you currently do?
I just freehand sharpen on my belt grinder, and I'll run 120, 220, 400, and then I'll turn a 600 in reverse, and then I learned a trick where you take one of those cloth back belts, flip it inside out, put a little bit of green compound on it, and use the cloth side to strop with. And it works pretty well, but I'm always looking to improve. I think you guys have a better system than I do.
I have held your knives, and I have shaved my arms. When you were out teaching your class, I shaved my body at Blade Show. With every one of your knives. No, you're not.
I'll have to sell that one at a discount.
Well, it's every one of your knives, including your Forged in Fire blade.
Okay, thanks.
So I was having quite the time out there. But anyway, no. On a serious note, though, your blades are. You've got the knack for it. You've got the hand-eye coordination. You know your angles. So, are you going to improve it? We can always improve if we're hitting something. The more and more the body gets closer to CNC, we always improve. But I wouldn't necessarily put one of my knives up against yours in sharpness, because you do an excellent job freehanding it then.
Well, thank you. Like I said, it crossed my mind one time that most of us knife makers have sharpened more knives than 99% of the public.
Add a few nines to the right of that decimal.
Yeah. So I've made 800 knives roughly. Well, that means I've sharpened at least 800. I've sharpened a bunch of them a bunch of times, right? So those of us that have done this a while, yeah, we do have more freehand practice than most people will get in a lifetime. That said, there's definitely advantages to jig systems that keep it tight, keep it clean. I was a Lansky guy for a long time. There's advantages to that.
Yeah,
I was originally taught. Oh, sorry.
No, Jake, you go right ahead.
I was originally taught when I first learned how to sharpen, doing convex edges right above an 8-inch wheel on the grinder. So that's how, all the way up until just about 6 months ago, when I moved into a shop and had access to an AMK, that's what I did too. So there's definitely nothing wrong with freehanding your edges.
Yeah.
Nope.
Dave, how are you sharpening knives?
It depends on what knife it is. I really had to relearn and to really hone my craft once I got into blade sports on sharpening knives, and especially sharpening the
Well, let me stop you right
superstars,
there,
the
because of
CPM4V.
everybody on this call, and 99 and add some nines to it who's listening to this podcast right now. Sharp knives mean the world to you. So you talk.
Yes.
As a chopper, you talk.
Yes. So I on my choppers and on most knives that I sharpen for me, I like a convex edge, and I call it a micro convex edge. You really couldn't even tell it's convex, but I've got a broadbeck sharpening system. I love that sharpening system. It is amazing. The belts that come with that are the game changer belts. There's a little curve on sharpening with those, little learning curve, but they last at least 10 times longer than any other sharpening belt I've ever used.
Broadbeck, he's another guy that's just a visionary, and where he's taken what we do in knife making to a whole different level. So I'm glad you brought up his brand as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'll use those belts, and if I'm doing a lot of knives and I need to just lay them out, on a table, and then just go through the process of each belt, I'll use the broadbeck every time.
How much is that system?
I think that system starts out around $1,200.
Okay. All right.
But it's it's just top of the line. One thing that I learned, being in woodworking and owning a cabinet shop and that type thing for a long time, you really you get what you pay for when you invest in
You
your
Yep.
do.
tools, you know,
Do.
and being I'm just a hobbyist, but I do sharpen a lot, and I sharpen a lot for a lot of restaurants and for different people. So it's that was just that's an amazing, top tier, top of the line sharpening system that I use. Now that being said, I also use the Work Sharp Ken Onion edition, the blade
Right.
grinder, and it's a little bit smaller. It uses the Broadbeck uses a 1x42 belt, which is great because of heat dissipation. The longer the belt, the better the heat dissipation on that belt. And when you're sharpening, you don't want to build up. I don't want to
No,
build
no,
up
no.
heat.
You're going to
I
make a
want
soft edge.
you know I make a yeah. I want to sharpen with a light touch, weight of the knife, and I'll start with usually about 120 and work my way up to about 1200 grit sharpening, and then from there I'll go to a strop. And I have a couple of years ago I swapped from white and green compound and the rouge doing three belts to I swapped to one belt strop, and I'm using a 4 micron CBN emulsion, and that has
Explain that, a 4
changed.
micron emulsion. What does that mean for our listeners?
It's basically a 4,000 grit, somewhere around 4,000 grit, but it's a 4 micron. It's a CBN emulsion. It's cubic boron nitride. It's just a shave under the hardness of diamonds, and it's in an emulsion. So you take this bottle, you can get it from. You just Google it and get it. I can't remember where. I think I got mine from DMT, but you can get this bottle, and one bottle lasts forever. So an emulsion is a water, oil, and then it has a surfactant, and that keeps it in suspension. And then these CBN particles are in that suspension, so it keeps them
What's
suspended. But you still
what's the
need to.
substrate that you're rubbing that blade on to get that abrasion?
So I'm rubbing the CBN on the
Yep.
leather strop,
Okay.
and on the smooth side of the leather strop, and then you've got to wait and let it dry. So um right before I went to CBN, I found a trick on putting on the green compound and the white compound. I could do the strop with just a little bit of Vaseline and then put the compound on it. It stuck on a lot better, and then I switched to CBN and didn't use that trick anymore. But the cubic boron nitride, it cuts really
Yeah.
fast. And so it is very, very just you do light passes, but it's forgiving. So it will actually clean up. I mean, if you've got a little burr on your blade just from using it, I don't even go through the sharpening process. A lot of times I'll just go to a strop, just a leather strop that I have just with that 4 micron CBN. Now they make that cubic boron nitride emulsion down to point 1 microns. I think I've
Right.
seen it,
0.05, isn't it? Point
which will
0.5.
give it. Is
Yeah,
it
it's like
point
a half
5? I
micron.
think I've seen a point. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. So with that, to, you can actually read a newspaper. That polishes it so much that you get a reflection. You can actually read a newspaper. But for me and what I do, I want a little tooth on my blade, and that it's crazy to say, but you can actually get a knife so sharp that it slices really good. But when everyday task, it's kind of dull, and
Right.
I still want that tooth, and that's crazy because I never thought I would be saying that, but that 4 microns kind of the sweet spot of that. But if you haven't tried CBN emulsion, I guarantee you it is that next step in sharpness for your strop that you won't regret it.
I should have brought a
You
notebook.
won't regret.
And just yeah, well, you know
Yeah,
what? You
Take
can go
notes.
back and listen to the Knives Templars podcast. I'm sure you'll be listening to your podcast, Jake Hatfield, And that you can find CBN emulsion at kmesharp.com under their CBN emulsions link. So
Oh, there you
That's where
go.
I first found it, was the KME sharpening systems, and that's where I first started doing my convex edges. KME is a lot like a Lansky, except it has like a 45, Colt 45 type grip to it, which is a great grip. That was my one issue with the Lansky, is hanging on to
yeah,
it, holding it. It is kind of awkward. In my big hands, it's very awkward to hold on to it. But the KME, you can hold on to it. And the guide rods, they sell convex guide rods.
yeah.
So it's very easy to
I,
do the convex. But I use a ton of
I
sharpening
think I
systems.
gave away Mr. Hatfield's last name. Oh my
You
goodness.
did.
Well, let me go.
You said your
Stop,
audience is
stop, stop,
between.
stop, 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 stop. Because now everybody knows Jake Hatfield's on the show. But with that being said, guys, we've given you a Lansky. I wouldn't necessarily hit. I mean, you can hit your kitchen knives with that. But the Ameribraid, the AMK, was that what it was we talked about, Jake and Don? The AMK?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
AMK.
And the emulsion, as well as you can call Jason Fry and he'll come over, or you can send your knives to him and he'll freehand them
Ooh,
because he is a veteran sharpener of over 800 knives made from wood that Sam Houston rode in on the D-Day with, or something like that.
on
Alamo,
Alabama.
yeah. And with that being said, guys,
And
I
the
want you to
Broadback.
know that Mark Vasallo is currently doing the breaststroke out in the Atlantic. He didn't quite get started up to maritime this week as quick as we thought he would. So at this time, he wanted us to let you know this. Hey, need good knife making supplies north or south of the Canadian border? Check out Nova Scotia's Maritime Knife Supply today. They're a Canadian knife supply specialist with thousands of happy customers, international shipping, handle material, steels, abrasives, belts, sanders, heat kilns, tools, and more. We'd like you to visit maritimenifesupply.ca today. Mark, you keep on swimming, baby. You keep on swimming and keep yourself lathered up with that Vaseline and emulsion, sharpening emulsion, to keep the jellyfish stings down. So we're in it with you, baby. We're in it with you, baby.
Oh
Maybe you
yeah.
need to when you go up there, Mark, buy more while you're there. Get a volume discount, maybe. I don't know if they have that or not, but try because maybe you only have to swim up there once every 2 weeks. So, Mark, you keep supporting Maritime. We love them. Talking about maritime, I'm now going to talk about one of my other. Actually, this is my go-to supplier of materials. As a matter of fact, I got in a little box today, and my wife said, "Another shipment," which means something wonderful has arrived from Ameribraid to my house, and spent
Okay.
$120. Got a refund on a portion of my shipping, and got all of these nice, beautiful ceramic belts, J-Flex scallop belts, 36 grit, 80 grit, 120, 240, probably a sticker or two, and signed with love, Andy Roy, and I don't know, he could have,
He
we got
did
to know
mine.
each other.
He did
Yeah, we
mine
got to
last
know each
week.
other at Blade Show, and with that, hey, we're going to go into my personal favorite supplier, Pop's Knife Supply, our Maker Mark series. And tonight we have an exciting guest. This guy has the greatest smile in knife making. His wife has the most beautiful smile in knife making. And Jake, may I say something respectfully as a Christian man?
Yes, sir.
Your wife with your child and you together, she has the most beautiful smile. That baby is a Gerber baby, just the most beautiful young man. And every time I see you, it's smile. You're in great shape. You've got the world is your oyster, and to see the three of you at Blade Show, it was so exciting to actually meet you in person. I'm honored to know you. So, guys, tonight we've got Jake Hatfield as our Maker's Mark guest on the show. Welcome, Jake Hatfield.
Thank you so much. Yeah, as soon as you said your audience is between, what'd you say, between 50 and 105?
Right?
and as soon as he said that, and as soon as he gave up the Hatfield reference, I knew that people probably called on at that point because whenever me and Tegan first got together, I asked her if she knew what the Hatfield McCoy feud was, and she said no. So
Oh my
I
goodness.
think that's another. I think that's another thing younger people don't understand is world history.
Well. What is your real last name, Jake?
McCoy.
And and
I'm the Hatfield's opposition.
and did the Hatfields really steal that pig?
I think they did. I think they did. If I could theorize, I would say
And
absolutely.
well, there's been a truce for about 20 years now, so you're letting the pig go, right?
I haven't let it
All
go.
right,
I
because
haven't.
I went over to Hatfield Knives at Blade Show, and I saw they had their gun cocked. So undoubtedly,
Uh-oh.
you are still holding a grudge. But if a smiling guy named McCoy walks up to you, don't be comfortable with that because this guy always smiles. Tell us a little bit about McCoy Blade Works, man. Welcome to the show. You're exciting because you make a very special knife.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it. So I have been making knives since was it 2021 now?
Now,
I've been making knives.
I must say, you've either got a ghost in the background open that door, or the wife is sticking her head in. If she's there, tell her to come on in because she's part of the
I,
team.
I think she was checking in on me. Uh, I think she's taking care of Roman though.
Gotcha.
But so I worked since I was 12 years old. It's always been my dream to be a knife maker.
Wow.
And my first blade show was when I was 12. So this year was 10 years because they canceled it the year that COVID hit and everything. But when I turned 17, I believe it was, so that was my fifth blade show. I was introduced to Anthony Marfione and was able to move up to Asheville, North Carolina, and work for Microtech for about 5 years.
Wow.
And then when I'd got up enough equipment and felt like I was ready, I'd left in 2021, I believe. So I've been making fixed blades all the way up until the beginning of this year. And then in January, I started my journey to making folders. So I was also taught, I left out a big chunk of that story too. So when I left in 2021, I moved down to Miami, Florida, and I learned under another knife maker named Edison Brajas. His company is called Shark Co. And I've known him since I was 13 years old, and he is like family to me and taught me how to make folders, and that is how I got started on that path. So,
Well, are you working at the bank or the pharmaceutical company during the day? Or are you making knives full time?
so I'm doing this 100% full time. As soon as I left Microtech, I took the leap of faith to like I said, get everything together, and decided that I want to do this full time. Like I said, it's been my dream to do that since I was a 12-year-old kid, and I'm very confident in not having to. There was a debate whenever I was graduating high school about having to get a college education or something like that, and my parents have always supported me the whole way through knife making and everything. But I think the trades are where it's at,
For
and I
sure.
think being a
Yes.
being
Amen.
a
Yeah.
knife maker is a
Amen.
great trade to learn, and
Excuse me. Excuse
I
me.
think you can be
Amen.
successful.
Amen. High five. Low five. Backside. Yeah. You.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely not
Yeah.
for everybody, but um, you can be successful in it. It's a great thing to get into. So
Well, I have a son that's going to be a dentist, and I have one that works in logistics and distribution. And I have told them both always be able to use your hands to make something, because that's always been very important to me. I can wire a house,
right,
I can frame a house, I can. I'm getting ready to build myself an RV. My point is that. Uh, your micro, and I respect what you just said 112%.
thank y'all.
Micro,
Yeah.
dirty jobs, micro. So go ahead.
Yeah. My row.
Oh, Mike Rowe.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
row.
I thought you were
Not
saying micro.
Microtech. Yeah, that's different.
Not micro, Mike, ROWE, micro.
The funny thing is, I said the trades are where it's at, but I would consider myself only somewhat decent at knife making. When it comes to anything else with my hands, I'm pretty much I'm not all the way there when it comes to being handy with anything else. So
Well, that's all your wife needs to know. because
pretty
because
much.
if it's like I think we need a new counter, it's like I don't know how to put in a counter. What if we had new windows in the house? Call the man. I don't know how to
the
do
closest
that.
I've the closest I've came to construction is IKEA furniture. So
Excellent.
There
And
you
as
go.
far as anybody in your family knows, keep it that way. It'll benefit you throughout your life.
yeah, IKEA has such a big instruction book. I mean, you might as well be certified for something after you're done putting that together, right?
You specifically, and guys, you jump in anytime. One thing I had the opportunity at Blade Show to walk up onto you. Once I got past your smiles, the family was there, and your friends and colleagues were around you. Um, I saw some of the most beautiful knives that almost look CNC'd. I mean the grind lines, the angles, the precision of mating parts together, the pins, the everything about it. I saw a level of craftsmanship that certainly exceeds your years and wisdom and age, which basically says age means nothing and wisdom means something, but you've acquired so much. Matter of fact, I don't remember the name. I'll have to see if I can't remember it in the show. There was another guy there that was about your age that was doing fixed blades, not far over from your table.
Alec Walkman, or
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was it Boatwright? Was it Catherine and Chase Boatwright right across from me?
What was the other guy? Walkman.
Walkman, Alec Walkman.
Yeah, was he from Ohio?
I can't remember where he's from off the
Kind of a
top of my head. I know
dark-haired guy.
extremely tall.
Yes.
Extremely tall.
Had a whole group entourage around him, working with him. I saw. I don't. We're going to give him a little kudos here as well, but I saw you guys as the next generation of excellence. It's going to take the things that Jason Fry, Dennis Tyrell, who's that guy spit on his blade?
Oh, Kyle Royer, yeah.
Yes, Kyle Royer. Kyle Royer. Listen, I'm not going to be so bold as to say your knives are as beautiful as Kyle Royer's because that's like that.
You can say they're not
No,
confidently.
no. Let me explain that comment because that gentleman sets a Michelangelo type measuring stick for everybody else, just his abilities. But to say, I see that potential in you and what you're making, especially with these folders. I know a guy in Norway that hand makes watches. I know a guy in Norway that makes knives. And the precision at what you are doing is just, I don't like you because of it. And I have a problem. I have that problem in life, not liking people that are so dang good and don't realize it because I don't think you realize just how wonderful what you do is.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've always had, like I mentioned before, I've always had parents that have been extremely supportive of me, and in that way of supporting me, my parents have always had extremely high standards for what I do, no matter what it is, in a good way, not to where I would be pressured to death, to perform or anything like that. But I've always been raised with a mentality of having a high standard for myself and
Excellent.
the way I carry myself and the work that I do. And my dad's always instilled that in me and my great grandparents as well and stuff like that. But learning from the makers that I did, working in Microtech for 5 years, learning from Edison and then learning stuff here and there. The way I see it, we can always learn and we can always improve. And I like to see what other makers do, other methods that other people use, and take what works best for me and combining it all, So I would say I'm not the best maker by far, but I've combined the things that have worked for me. As of right now, I only have about 6 months under my belt as far as making folders, so that's a very short time span. But
I would say
that's what I attempt to do at least.
I would say you need to associate yourself with Jason Fry a little bit more closely and look into the guild because I see you getting into the guild very easily with the quality. Hey, let's take just a little bit of a break because I want to come back. We've got a lot more to ask you. We'll be right back. Don, you got to go pee pee?
I sure do, buddy.
Me too, brother. We'll be right back.
Hey, listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
Well, thank you, Joey Terrio. I tell you, back to the show. Joey Terrio, I tell you what, he's the guy that got me to buy an Ameribraid grinder, and I am indebted to him because that is one heck of a great machine. Matter of fact, guys over at Ameribraid, we've been talking about the visionary. Maybe this show should be called the Visionaries and Game Changers, but certainly Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid are another 2 visionaries out there. So maybe that's the show title tonight. So getting back, welcome back, guys. Jake, tell us a little bit about the knives that you do make so people can understand it. First of all, where can people see your knives?
So I have a Facebook group that my wife had mentioned before, Tegan. She does such a great job at running. The Facebook group is where I do most of my interactions, most of my sales. I used to do most of it on Instagram, but since I had somebody tell me, you got to get on Facebook. That's where it's at right now. But it is McCoy Blade Works, and then my Instagram, my personal Instagram, is where I do all my activity there. It's Jake McCoy 1999. And all of my folders I guess would fall into the somewhat tactical category.
Yes.
If you're to call it that, there's some overlap in every industry, but I'm interested in every category of knife making. One of my really good friends this allowed me to work out of his shop since I moved back to Georgia. His name's Jason Gallagher.
All right, Jason. And, shout out to Jason.
I want to add something to that about Ameribraid too. So I have my own shop, but he has just a playground of equipment. That's where he has AMKs, he has a forge, and I have zero idea about when it comes to forging or anything. I have no knowledge of that. He's the one that has more knowledge when it comes to forging and stuff like that than I do. But he has 3 Ameribraid grinders, and I got to say, I've worked with Bird Kings, working at Microtech, hardcore grinders, crazy industrial grinders. I've worked with the TW90. All of those are phenomenal grinders, but the Ameribraid is seriously it's insane, especially for the price and how versatile of a grinder it is. It is phenomenal.
Then you need to contact Kevin and Eric and let them know that you're interested in that. But I will tell you, you said he's got 3. I'm still working on. I need to get number 2, so I've got my machine easily flips from vertical to horizontal. But man, I tell you what, I need one sitting horizontal and one vertical all the time, just so I can keep going. But with all that being said, you made something. You said something that struck my heart a little bit, and I think Jason may agree. Once you start beating steel into shape, man, the game changes, doesn't it, Jason?
It's a whole different game, that's for sure.
You're no less a knife maker if you're doing stock removal, but the fact that you're moving hot 1500 degree or hotter Play-Doh is just so much fun. It gives you a certain level of gratitude in what you do. As a matter of fact, our buddy Josh Howard, Forge and Fire, and we use his actual forge location for our Alabama Custom Knife Makers Guild meetings. That guy's almost exclusively forging out blades, and it's just amazing what he does. Again, not saying you're less of a knife maker to anybody listening to this show, but my gosh, do you start to understand steel and how it moves? Jake,
Right. Yeah.
go ahead.
And I watch Jason. Like I said, he uses his forge and his power hammer. I can't remember what the brands are off the top of my head, but he's actually at Jason Knight's shop right now, staying with him and doing some work with him. But
Well,
he is.
here's your invitation, though. I'm telling you, I live 2.5 hours from you. I will give you the points to stay in the Hampton Inn one night and go to a show, or you can stay upstairs in my house. The whole upstairs is empty. Uh, we're not weird, and it's not like any Rob Zombie movie, so we're pretty cool Christian folks. So you would be more than welcome.
I'll take it.
You're more than welcome to come here and go to the
Thank
next
you.
or whenever you're available meeting with me, because I have a feeling that the people would bring you in with open arms. But getting back to your style, you talk about it being tactical in each other and this, that, and the other. What would you say? Who influenced you in what you do? Because people should go out and be seeing what listening to this show. They should be already right now listening and looking at your your website on Facebook, or your Facebook page, or Instagram. What defined, or who helped define your style, or did it come from you? Explain that to us.
So I would say since I was 12, and all the friends that I've made along the way in those 11 years time, everyone that I've been very close friends with, I've been biased to, and they've influenced me greatly. Sebastian Berengi from Borca Blades, he does a lot of work with Microtech as well. My friend Bastian Covez, Bassinelli Knives, I've taken a great amount of influence from him from my fixed blades. And then, as I said, my mentor, Edison Barajas with Sharkniv Co., he has been the biggest influence for me as far as folders go. And I just about run every single thing that I do now by him, just because the time that I lived down in South Florida, his family, him and his wife Mariella, brought me in pretty much, and I would drive an hour north. Just about the past few months before Roman was born, I wanted to finally get all this done before he moved back up here.
Right.
So I would sit down with his family, and they'd make extra food for me, and I'd eat dinner with them every night. And like I said, I've known him since I was 13 years old, but he really became family and has been, I would say, the biggest influence to me as far as folders go. And then I'll say there's a lot of other newer makers out there that are extremely influential. I would say Kurt American
Chip
is a phenomenal
Carlisle.
new.
Chip Carlisle.
Chip Carlisle is one of
Thank
them.
you. Yeah, I agree.
Big
He's
hand,
great.
big
He's great.
hand Dave.
Yes. Yeah. How about Jason Fry?
Don't add an S at the end though. It's only one big hand.
Yeah.
Don, Jason Fry.
Just really kind of shaped where you're at today is what you're saying.
Right,
That
100%.
that touches our heart, and that'll go a long way when we have the vote here in a minute. But I do want to say one thing. I take it back. You can't have my Hampton points, because I'm going to take my Hampton points and use them to come over and see you and spend a Saturday in your shop with your buddy. And of course, I'm joking. You come over here anytime. I'll pay for your hotel room, and or you can stay here. But I do want to come over and see your shop sometime, because you're a very impressive young man. I also think that you said it. I'm going to say it again. You're the future of knife making. I want to see. Are you using bearings in those blades at all, as far as the folders and opening as well, or?
I am, yes, sir. So
Yeah.
I use the skiff bearings.
And I wanted to say, when I opened your knives, it just let me tell you guys, if you're a knife enthusiast or you're a knife maker, you're going to learn something watching this young man. But also, if you're a knife enthusiast and want a pristine knife, and you want one of the knives of this guy, now when he's 35, guys, and you're paying $10,000 or $20,000 for a folder, you'll wish you have bought one today at his current prices. So I'm telling you, you
Yeah.
need to go look them up. Jake, where are they going to find you out? Where are they going to find you?
So McCoy Blade Works is the Facebook group name, and then my personal Instagram. That's Jake McCoy 1999.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that God, for me, has always blessed me. You reap what you sow. You reap when you share your blessings, You recognize your blessings and you bless others. And Jake, you need to go out and teach somebody what you do to bless them as well, or any other aspect in your life. Um, if you need any help developing your website, it happens to be a little skill set that I've got. You pay for the domain name if you don't already have it, and the site. I will set it up for you, and I will help you maintain it, teach you to maintain it, and very easy. And you will have your own website free of charge as far as my services go. You just have to let me know that you want to do that, and I'm sitting here to help you because I want the world to know 10 years from now when I'm retired and sitting in my shop putting out these little fixed blade knives that I knew Jake McCoy when. So please take me up on that. And with that,
Thank you so much, Chip. I
you're
appreciate it.
special. Now tell us very briefly before we sign off on this particular segment. You pronounced your wife's name
Tegan.
Tegan.
So a
I
lot of
say
people say
Tegan. Yeah, yeah.
It sounds
So
like T.
so Tegan, are you from Georgia?
Born and raised here
All right.
in Harris County,
And
Georgia.
Tegan is from.
She was born in Texas, but
Okay.
she was in Texas until she was about 3 years old.
Okay,
So
well,
she
that's
was
okay. Jason Fry already gave you a
she's
thumbs up. That's probably a positive on the vote coming up.
approved.
And you have a son named Roman who's about 8 months old. And
Yes, sir.
I will let everybody know if you see them on Facebook or this, that, and the other. It's a joy. It's a family full of smiles. It's a family full of energy. You see a young man, and I say young man. I know you're an adult young man, and you see his wife, a young lady, who have nothing but love for each other, support for Jake's dream. His you can see his support for his wife and himself to have a wonderful, beautiful, loving family. I have not seen anything negative, political, anything whatsoever that would say this man is a child of God. And I'm not assuming your religion there, but just to say that the Bible says, um, live your life in a way that honors your parents. And for all I can tell right now, that you have the most reverent parents that ever existed, and so does your wife, because you're some pretty special people. So bless you, son, and bless your
Thank you so much.
future. And I look forward to getting to know you as we move into this, because I'm a hobby maker as well. But sir, you're not a hobby maker. You are a professional. With
Good
all that
job,
being
man.
s- with all that being
Thank
said,
you.
let's take a vote. I'm going to vote for Eric. Eric said, "Yeah, man." I'm going to vote for Odysseer. Odysseer said, "Yeah, man." Uh, uh,
Wait, what's the vote?
we're voting to see if you're a honorary Knives Templar.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. Eric says, "Sure, yeah, he's great. Needs to post more on TRE workshop, but love to see him there. Yes, he's in." Odysseer says,
I
"Yes, man."
know.
Odysseer says, "Yeah, man. You're going to teach people
Yeah,
if
man.
you post there." Yeah, Odysseer says, "Yeah, man." Um, Mark says, uh, "Squishy says yes." Squishy's his little house sparrow. Um, I say, without a freaking doubt, man, you were probably one of. I don't want to upset Jason Fry or Big Hand Dave's or Don, because they were guests on here at one time. You were probably one of the most exciting people we've had on this show. And I think
Thank you so
I
much. I
thank you for
appreciate it.
that. So you get two snaps, a twirl, and a hip wiggle from me. Yes, you were in. Big Hand Dave, what do you say?
I need a
I
thumbs up from the
say
big hand.
I say two big thumbs
You,
up.
you got both. You got both hands. How about past president and voting member, and probably something more important than that, with the current knife making guild for this planet? What do you say, Jason Fry?
I say, Jake, we're happy to have you along. Welcome
Yeah,
Thank
you
aboard.
start submitting some knives to the guild, because I don't think you're going to have a slow journey into that guild. And Don, the king of gator piss. Did you ever find any gator piss, Don?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Yeah, he's still on the
you. You
Not
haven't
search.
yet.
found any?
He's still
I
working
might
on
be
it.
able to get you some.
There you go. The king of Florida knives, some of the most beautiful knives. And I don't want to take anything away from Steve Schwartzer. I think he's from Florida. But Don Watson is one of the most talented guys I know in Florida with his knife making. I'd love to have his skills. So, Don, you always round this out with what do you think? And I'm going to sway you, because if you say, "Oh no," I'm gonna kick you off the podcast right now. So, what do you say, Don?
Oh yeah, welcome.
So with that being said, Jake, I know
Thank
our
you.
listeners are tired from hearing it, but I know you're a young guy, and I know how all of you young people are. There's nothing for free in life, son. You, if I go out and buy you lunch, you will get that lunch, and you'll be appreciative. But do not turn any expense reports into me. Do not ask me to reimburse anything. You have no voting authority. You have nothing but the ability to agree with everything I want to do with this podcast. But you are welcome at any time to come on here as a guest host, and we look forward to having you do that at times, or just popping in, let us know how you're doing. You'll see when the shows are coming up. Let me know you want to come on, and we'll have you in. Sir, I will buy you a
Thank you so
hamburger
much, Chip.
sometime, but don't you buy a hamburger and give me a receipt, because I will turn that down in a heartbeat.
I gotta say though, I would be really disrespected if you did use your hotel points to come visit us.
You would be what?
The same thing is, I'd be really disappointed if you use your hotel points to come visit us.
Why?
You gotta, if you come here, you gotta stay with us.
I can plug your toilet up, son. You don't want that.
Amen on that.
Do you want me to come plug the toilet?
You know what? We live in an apartment, and we got free maintenance work.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Just go buy a plunger.
No.
That's been out for almost the past month, and we've had
oh my goodness,
we've had the maintenance guys come enough times, so they're already having enough fun.
Well,
you got them on speed now.
Well, maybe we just need to plug a few toilets until they get it together and start getting what you need done. Then, so hey.
I know, right?
Just buy him some Metamucil, Jake. If he comes, just buy him some Metamucil and have it there. It'll all be
It's so
good.
funny. I got a story there real quick. Jake, you're in like Flynn. You're a Templar, and I'll be adding you to the website. Matter of fact, if you want to get into Templars Nation, send me your logo. I'll email it to me. I'll put it on the site with a link back to your social media so people can find you there as well as many other places. And I do have to say, I've got something to add to that big hand, is that I went to my doctor because I was sick and feeling bad, and I've done this more than once. I don't know why I can't get it right. I used to work in pharmaceuticals, and I'm like, I've been draining. My sinus is draining. I get to talking. I get to coughing because they're draining. I said, I'm taking Metamucil twice a day, and they're this, that, and the other. And they look at me funny, and they're like, what? And I mean to say Mucinex, but I'm saying Metamucil. So I have to correct.
Not the same there,
Not
buddy.
the same, but it is Mucinex. Hey, with that being said, I've got something very important to tell you right now. And if you guys don't like advertisements, well, then all I have to say is
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers. Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
how do you guys like this new advertising format? I mean, these guys out in listener land don't hear it, but we're actually hearing our advertisements and just popping right back into it.
It's good.
I like that. So it's better than
good.
I like it.
Yeah, it's better than doing the old countdown with 5 fingers and us making fun of each other and then coming back and me spending 4 hours plugging in these advertisements. Hopefully in the edit time it works out. Guys, I got some sad news today.
What's that?
My anybody that's going to be up in Nantahala River area up in North Carolina, I believe it's the second week of August. If you're up that way or you want to be up that way, I'm going to be trout fishing in the Nantahala River all week. Any knife makers are up in the Nantahala area, send me an email at chip.carlisle, Carlisle, at yahoo.com, and I'll let you know where we'll meet up because I plan on pulling trout out of the river all week, biting their heads off and cooking them for dinner. But
I might be there actually.
if you're going to be in yeah, go ahead.
My grandma lives in Hawassi, so she lives right there.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're going to be there, let me know what dates. And if you don't fly fish, I'll bring spinning tackle. Or if you do fly fish and you've got gear, bring it. Regardless, let me know because I'm going to be standing out in the river all week catching fish and probably take a couple days, do a little backpacking up around the Klingman's Dome area. I love that area. I grew up doing that when I looked like you, Jake. Well, excuse me, I never looked like you, but I was a young guy once. And for the listeners, Jake's pretty well built until 8 months ago, and he had a youngin, and now he's lost 35 pounds. You said?
Yes, sir.
You'll get it back when you're 65, but it'll appear in your belly, or 45.
Yeah.
It'll be in your belly. But
40. So it won't be
it'll
65.
be 45. It'll be in your belly, so you'll get that weight back. But yeah, I heard a sad story today. A friend of mine who's vacation rental place that will be renting for that week. He said that there's a place up there where they keep there's a bear, and it's a pretty nice. A bear was taken as a cub, and it's kept in this confined area, and it's grown into an adult bear. And over the years, it's probably 3 or 4 years old. That and he was telling me the story, but people go out and give this bear a. They'll go in the store and they'll buy a drink and they'll give it to the bear. So they may buy tomato juice or buy a fruit juice or buy water or buy a Coke. And they set it there at the edge of the cage, and the bear can pull it in. And, bears are pretty talented with their paws, and it pulls it in, and it lifts it up on its haunches, and it drinks it, And sometimes people dump peanuts into the drinks or Coke so the bear can eat those as well. But anyway, he said this past week they got a report that some idiot, because it's a gas station, had put gasoline in a Mountain Dew bottle and set it there. And the bear, I know, it's just pissing me off because I've seen this bear put gasoline and sat it there, and the bear turned it up and drank that gasoline to the point that it was, overcome by it. So the bear went crazy. People run into their cars, and the cage has always been secure, but I guess it was so much so that the bear got loose and was running up the Nantahala Road up there on 64 across the river, and said 4 or 5 miles it had run, and then all of a sudden it just fell over, and I'm just disgusted by it.
Yeah.
I wish he would have mauled the guy that gave him the Mountain Dew.
Yeah. You know why?
Did he run?
Did he what?
Did he run out of gas?
He ran out of gas. I guess it's not just me and Big Hand. Big Hand Dave's heard that one this week too.
Yeah.
Jason Fry, what'd you think about that? Because you looked a little disgusted when I said gasoline.
That's a pretty good story there. It's a pretty good story.
He ran out of gas, Jason.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Jake, dry your eyes, Jake. Dry your eyes. It's not a real story. Yeah, the only problem is everybody loved that one on Facebook this week, so at least half our listeners maybe did not hear it.
Well, when you were saying that, I was like, I grew up kind of in that area, would go and visit my grandparents all the time. I feel like I would have heard about this bear because there's like nothing that goes on near that area other than trout fishing.
That's right.
That's
so
right.
When you mentioned
That's
that,
right.
I was like, gas station. I feel like we would have went and
Well,
visited that place.
you got to get past the Nantahala Outdoor Center. It's just up the road from there. So, hey, and I will be there if you want to go. But since that joke was so abrasive, I tell you what, I don't know what to do other than
all knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino Wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code Templars10 for 10% off your next order.
And you'll have some sharp knives. So with that and my abrasiveness, let's work into a little bit. And Jake, since you're an honorary Templar now, you can just stick with us, unless you need to go to bed. But you're 23.
23.
23?
Yes,
Yeah, you'll be up till 3 in the morning. You're fine. You're fine. Hey guys,
I got a kid now. I've been passing out.
I can imagine.
I'm good for him.
My son's got 3-year-olds, so yes, I know exactly where he's 28, has 3-year-olds, so I know exactly where you're coming from. Hey guys, topic one tonight. Let's talk a little bit about belt progression and speed. Tell us a little bit about belt progression as you're. Let's talk about. You've got a knife. It's in the rough. You've just cut it out. You've got a blank, or you've got something that you have forged into shape. Tell us a little bit about your progression and speeds as you go into refining that. I'll open it up to you guys.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I'll jump on that one. I like to start out with about a 50 grit Norton Blaze running about 70 or 80% speed, so pretty fast. And then I'll grind with that till I get pretty close, and then I'll use a 120 ceramic. Those burn through so fast. I use just whatever one I feel like that day. I don't have a particular
But you don't
brand of 120 that I
you
like.
don't build up too much heat on that higher or lower grip blade, so you're able to get through it quite a bit faster and take a lot of steel real quick. Correct?
Right. And I'm talking about before heat treat too.
Yeah.
So straight out the forge or straight off the blank, like you said. At that point, heat doesn't matter anyway. You're going to rearrange the steel
Sure.
internally. So I'll lean on it pretty good and get it ground down to, like I say, probably 90%.
Yeah.
If it's stainless, maybe even 95.
Well, you've made 650 more knives than me. So with that being said, I have switched recently. I start grinding after heat treat. What do you say about that?
It's a very useful technique. That's what I do on almost all of my stainless and all of my kitchen stuff. On your forged work or stuff like that, no, I don't spend quite as much time removing post heat treat. Right, I'll push a forged knife closer to finished before hardening because it's so heat sensitive. Right, that's the one where the heat really matters. But yeah, I mean it's a good technique, especially for stainless.
Yeah, I just run my speeds a little bit slower, and I tend to, I'm running them bare fingered so I can feel that heat beating up, so I'm not, ending up with a blue tip on a blade or something. Don, what about you?
Yeah, the same.
What about you, Don?
Well, I changed up. I've only been making knives 2 years, so I kind of went through a evolution. Well, if I'm doing stainless, I go ahead and cut with a 36, and then probably move to cut my bevels to a certain point on my regular EDC knives. But if I'm doing kitchen knives, I do not grind. I do all my grinding after heat treat. So, but if I'm doing Pops 8670 or a carbon steel, I go ahead and grind up to about 30 thousandths on the edge, and then with a 36, 60 grit. And then I'll come back in after heat treat with a 60 grit and then 120 grit and a gator belt. Go up through the gator belts, and then I acid etch, and then or I bead blast and I acid etch, and then put my maker's mark on. That's how I do it.
Well, the higher in grit, the slower I run my belt. Number
Yes.
one, because you're going to generate more heat with those
Yeah,
higher
that's
grits.
critical.
Right.
But also with maintaining a crisper line, those higher grip belts, and you're able to maintain that crisper line at the slower speeds. But Don, are you're not doing hardly any hand sanding? Is that correct?
I'll be honest with you. I probably get criticized for this, but I've never hand sanded a blade yet.
Other
When
than
people go, what? I
wow.
just never have.
I wouldn't criticize you for it. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it if I had the choice.
Yeah,
Right. I don't know. I kind of get into a groove. I've hand sanded. I can't recall the last machine finished blade I did. mean, it's been a long, long time.
I've
I'm just
I've done both, and I tend to hand sand a lot these days. But I have found out if you drink enough sanding juice, and listen
No,
to Bonnie Raitt, John
yeah,
Prine, Blaze Foley, Towns Van Zant, and you get into the little, it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. It's a nice experience.
yeah. I just never did. I learned from someone that doesn't hand sand,
Yeah,
and I know he probably did in the future. And I ain't saying I'll never hand sand. That's not what I'm saying. But
yeah,
I found that I do. I kind of lean more over to the production side
yeah,
with a belt finish, and then I can carbon steel. I learned about acid etching. Ferrochloric. That's the and
Right.
then putting it in the tumbler. I
yeah.
love that finish, and plus it brings a little more protection to the blade. I think.
Well, I'm not going to criticize you because you make some gorgeous, gorgeous blades. So the
Thank you.
the ability to finish a blade without hand sanding says something about your 2 years of experience. So
I mean, I, I
I
mean,
would
I
never
did.
guess you've only been making lures or making lures. I used to make fishing lures, making knives for 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. I started about two. Well, June was 2 years ago. So, but
Yeah,
no, I know a lot of guys enjoy hand sanding. I know when I was a wood turner, when I do the big bowls and stuff like that, I purposely learned how to use the bowl gouge and keep it sharp so I can make really nice, clean cuts. So I don't have to grab the 60 grit gouge or the 80 grit gouge. I can start with maybe a 180, 150, and move
yeah.
up to the 320, 400 grit. I know Big Dave probably knows what I'm talking about. I did a lot of work on the lathe. So, but
yeah, knife making is the exact same way. So the ability to throw down a 400 or 600 hand sand quickly depends on
belts,
your 120 and your 220 off the
yeah,
machine. It's
Right.
it's exactly
yeah.
the same as what you said.
Jake, are you a hand sanding machine?
So about the last 3 years that I worked at Microtech, I did I worked in the customs department doing the hand sanding work, doing the hand rub satin finishes, and mirror polish blades for Morpheone Customs, and then also where I learned to grind was Sean Morpheone, Tony, the guy that owns Microtech. His son is the one that grinds all the Morpheone custom blades. So he taught me how to grind, and I would grind all of the knives up to around 120 to 220, and I'd pass them off to him, and he'd do all the finishing belts and everything. But because of that reason that I worked in the customs department doing a lot of hand sanding work, I usually take up a lot of my knives to the higher belts. We had a very specific belt progression at Microtech, and I still use that. I still apply the same belt progression today. Most of everything is always post heat treat, but constantly dipping in water, everything like that. So
Right.
keep it cool, making sure it's not
Yep.
burning up or anything. But it'd be 36, 60, 120, 220, um, A45, A30, A16.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last two belts, the exact grid of them, but I believe they're Trizac, but it's a blue belt and an orange belt.
Right.
So I think it would take it. I can't even remember what grid it is off the top of my head, but I think it's close to around 2000
Yeah, well,
to
a
grind.
lot of guys will. I've seen as I've grown into the community is they'll hit a grinder with an 80 grit and a 120 grit and try to take the whole thing down. And I think they're missing the opportunity to run those higher speeds and run it at 36 or 50 grit and
Right.
bring that steel down and then go in and refine it. And I just go in and emphasize the higher your grit, the slower your speed, the crisper your lines. And of course, there's some coordination in using your table or your jig or whatever, right? But that's what's going to set you apart. I think a guy's, when they're using older belts and they're not using the right belt and speed for what they're doing or trying to rush through and get that grind, that's going to take them away from those crisp or blended in edges, because blended in edges look just as nice for what they're trying to achieve. So, um, yeah, that's kind of where I sat on belt progression and speed, and kind of what you guys are saying as well.
Yep. Yep. Higher the grit. Better slow it down, man. That's what that
Yeah,
VFD's for. Slow it down. So
Right.
Yeah.
You will burn
Yep.
a tip. And I tell you what, I found that you can burn a tip with a 180 grit gator belt quick.
Very quick. Very quick.
Oh,
Very
Mm-hmm.
quick.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, I got to start over, man.
Yeah. Chris Jones has done just such a wonderful job tonight talking about the Phoenix Abrasives and such. I think I want to let him tell us a little bit about Sarah because, we've overlooked Sarah just a little bit, and she is making such an impact on our community right now with the most beautiful knife scales.
As knife makers, we all know the importance of quality handle material. Something that's both tough yet beautiful will increase the value of your knives and allow you to build something that your customers will love. When it comes to the handle material for my knives, I choose Swikowski scales. Run by Sarah Halpane and her mentor Alex Swikowski, they have a combined 20 years experience making handles and knives. They offer stabilized burls, exotic hardwoods, vintage micartas, and some of the best segmented scales in the business. Find them on Instagram at Swikowski Scales or on their website, swikowskiscales.com. That's SWIECZKOWSKI scales.com.
So yeah, check out Sarah. She's going to be down at the Louisiana Knife Show as well, and Sarah makes some gorgeous, gorgeous segmented scales. The lady has certainly got the most beautiful artistic ability that just jumps right into every piece of work that she does. Guys, here we go. We're going to go through the time questions here as we're getting ready to wind down the episode. And this is what I'm going to call, let's give it a good name. Let's see here. We're going to go through several questions real quick. So what's a good name for that? What do we call this segment?
Man, whatever you want to.
Quick tips.
Get her done.
The lightning round.
Lightning round. Here we go. Lightning round quick Templar tips. Are you ready?
Get it.
You guys
Ready.
chime in. Don't burn your pens. Tick tock, tick
I don't know
tock.
what
tick,
I seen that
tock.
there. I didn't understand it.
Don't burn your pen.
So you're looking for tips, quick tips on how not to burn your pens.
I don't work with pins. I lost.
Guys,
just go slow.
Go
I
slow.
go really slow.
When I walk up to a table and I see knives being made, one thing that stands out is when I see those black little lines around people's pens where they've burnt their micarta, or their wood. Guys, slow down. Get a little cooler. Make sure you're not over burning that epoxy or the wood around your pens, and it really comes down to temperature. Beautiful knives, and if you're going for that look, that's fine. But a lot of times, it's some visionary. Tonight's show is the title is Visionaries. Told me one time it's the last 10% that you put into a knife that counts, and his name was Jason Fry, who got that from someone else,
yeah.
And when it comes,
I stole it off a coffee mug.
there you go. And that's the difference between a guild knife, a non-guild knife, a $200 knife versus an $800 knife. The details, guys, slow down.
Finish.
Yeah, slow down. Make sure you spend a lot of time making sure those pins fit in real well. Don't overheat them and burn the wood around them. Anybody else have something to say?
Here's something. Don raised his hand, but I started talking.
When
Go
you're
ahead,
shaping
Don.
micarta will burn really quick. You turn your speed down and get a sharp belt. Dull belts do not work well on micarta. I've done found that out. So
I spent $120 on belts today, so yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
go ahead, Jason.
That's not many belts.
No, I say that's small order. No, I was going to say when you're cutting your pins down, go ahead and cut them down pretty close to the handle material, right? I mean, in your head, you're like, man, I can just grind that down. It's a quarter of an inch or it's 3/8 of an inch of a 3/32 pin. That doesn't take any time to grind, but you build heat grinding that. So one point there is cut that off with your pliers or your bandsaw or something, and then grind into it. I mean, it's a little extra step, but it keeps that heat off of your handle
It's
material.
funny you say that. A lot of the European makers say that you Americans leave so much pin material hanging outside of your blades.
I see a bunch
So, yeah, I've heard that from a lot of European makers. It'll say, "Why do y'all leave so much pin material hanging out?" So, undoubtedly, we are just being wasteful Americans. All right, lightning.
Probably so.
Yep,
Yeah.
lightning round number 2. Making sure your bevels match. Looking down at the bevel and seeing one swoop out here and one swoop out there. Do they match? What say you?
You talking about your plunge line with your bubbles?
I am.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to try to get it matched up best you can. I try. It don't always work out that way, but I do my best.
One thing I'll say
two.
that I learned from doing a good bit of grinding is one thing that I messed up on when I first started was trying to start the plunge line at the lower grit belts. Say I'm rough grinding or something, I would have the issue of trying to go ahead and start that plunge line at a 36 or a 60 when really you shouldn't really be swooping it into 120, 220 around there, working it in, and I tried to start it too early, so that I'm sure that might help.
Yeah,
And then
big time.
and then also, I would say just constantly have an eye on your work too, because one thing Sean Marfione told me that always stuck with me is you can always take material off, but you can never add it back on. So if you're ever worried about something or ever feel like you're gonna mess up or taking off more than you need, just step back and come back to it whenever you feel like you're more focused and can get it done. So.
When I see a blade where you see the grind almost go all the way back to the choil, and there's just a fine little piece of metal there left, right where the finger choil is. Excuse me, and I'm thinking, yep, they couldn't match those lines up, and they just kept going further and further back. And you said something so cool there, Jake. That's right. Don't start tuning that in until you get to the higher belts, and then go through and do it meticulously. You're doing it slower because you're at the higher belts, and you're able to match it up. And if you're able to use what do you call it? If you're able to use a file guide, yes, thank you. It makes it just even a little bit easier. But when you're taking those higher grip belts and you're able to roll them over, if you want a rolled edge or a sharp edge, you're going to be able to refine it in so much more easier. So great advice. Nothing. I had a knife maker I thought the world of, and they brought their knife to Blade Show, and this is a very well-known person, and I won't ever mention who they are. But the knife that they brought to Blade Show to be on display for the world to see, I looked at one side and I looked at the other, and the grinds were so far off that I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, maybe they did this in case somebody stole it handling it. They wouldn't lose it. But then I was just totally... and this is a world-renowned maker in our community, and no disrespect because I've seen their other knives, but I was just kind of taken back because I had expectations and it wasn't there.
I would say one other thing too is to scribe lines if you need to.
Always,
especially definitely scribe edge lines. I've gotten to the point to where I don't scribe lines on the sides of my blades or anything, but I mean it's another guide to help you be as precise as possible.
Yeah, I use a metric little shop ruler, 10 centimeters long, and I set and measure my grinds up as I go. Dave, you were going to say something?
One thing that I do when I had problems, getting my plunge is when I will start, on the belt up on the knife and work back to the plunge. And I've done that quite a few times on certain steels that I just could not get the plunge, just in right. And I've actually worked back to it and been able to set that plunge bevel, working back to it.
Right.
Good advice.
All good advice. All right, speed round. Underpricing knives. Why?
knife makers are broke, and sometimes the lure of the quick cash is a thing, right? Mama needs new shoes, or the car needs to be fixed, or something, and so you make the choice on a short term basis, but it hurts you in the long term. Um, I'm not talking about it hurts you next Tuesday because you sold your knife too cheap. I'm talking about it hurts you over 6 months, over 5 years, because you're really selling yourself short.
I sell my knives and go out and buy guns for the same amount I sold my knife for. So hey guys,
There you
don't
go.
undersell this work. It's a work of art. It's a wonderful tool. It's all of the above. Don't underprice your knives. Now trust me. Look at your knives and price them against what people are making that are similar in
Hmm.
quality and style and your skill set. But if you're out there making $600 knives and you're selling them for $200 a piece because you don't realize the value of it, somebody will ask me, "I'm making a tuna cleaver right now. How much is that knife?" It's $1,400. Somebody's like, $1,400? Who would pay $1,400 for the knife? I'm like, well, this knife's not for you, but somebody out there it is for. I know, Jason, you recently sold a Fred Bear knife for a good sum of money, and I won't mention that, but there was the right person for that knife, and you waited till they were there. Guys, do not
Hmm.
undersell your knives because you're shooting yourself in the foot on the quality of the work that you're producing, what it says about your reputation moving forward, because people say what they spend for your knives. And it's also tearing down people with similar skill sets that are out there charging much more for their knives. And they're saying, hey, I can get one from so and so for this. Why would I'm always, well, you should get it from so and so. But guys, don't underprice your knives. Anybody else want to add to that?
I want to come back and say too that you don't know what you don't know a lot of the time,
Yeah.
right? So how do you figure out if your knife is low or high, or where you fit in the market? The answer is you better go walk around and ask. Right? No polite knife maker is going to come up to you and tell you much about your pricing, uh, unless you ask them to. If you take a knife around and say, well, "What would you give for a knife like that?" That's how you learn, right? There's no book of knife prices out there. there's no guidelines anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have to find the market by talking to people in your market.
Yeah, and a perfect example is, head to Blade Show or one of your knife show. But even like this year at Blade Show, I was able to go around and see knives and what people were asking for them. I went to Jason and I said, Jason, what do you think about this knife I made? And he said, well, that would do well in one of the gas station rotisseries where they got the knives at. And I was like, heck yeah,
Did
That
not.
was cold, man. That was cold. Yeah.
No, I actually, the conversation went like this. Could this be one of my knives to submit for the guild? And he said politely, and I'll just leave it at that. So that takes me into the final thing, the last 10% of your knife. I've loved that ever since you said it, Jason. Last 10% of a knife. Explain that to our listeners.
You're putting that on me. All right. So
Anybody.
well, I started it, so we'll go. The last little details are critical in how the final product turns out. So hand sanding, you're scrubbing along, and there's one little scratch underneath there still. Fix it. Right? It may be the last 1% of your hand sanding, but you better do it. Getting your plunges even, they're so close, but they're not right. Fix it. Every single little step, the last little bit is worth chasing almost every time. That's what I mean when I say the last 10% is 90% of the knife.
Jason, when I came back from Blade Show, I did spend 10% more on that knife I showed you, and honestly, it made all the difference in the world in how I felt about it. What do you say, Jake? You're
Good.
making some pretty quality knives. What's that last 10% mean to somebody like you?
I would say, to the best of your abilities, set the standard to what it could be. If you have the ability to make a better product, then do it. Um, and if you look at most people that are collectors, which that's what I've done most of my time in the knife community, most of the nitpicks and gripes that people have are about those final fit and finish work or detail things like plunge lines or you do a hand satin blade and it's uneven. There's a swoop on the lines coming out in the opposite direction or something like that. And it's little things like that really getting into pricing too. It the attention to detail matters, and that's going to all come down to how you're able to price your knives and the
Most definitely.
notoriety you get it as your quality as a maker.
I'll see makers that they'll post their pictures on social media, and wonderful makers, good guys, and I'll see that one little vertical line in their grind. They just didn't get that last one up around the plunge or one out towards the tip. The ones in the center, they always seem to get rid of, and I just think, if you just got a sanding stick or a dowel with some paper and spent another 15 minutes on that, that would no longer be there, and it would make all the difference in the world. Not that I dislike their knives by any means. They're beautiful makers, but it takes it to that next level of precision in what you do. Jake, you've got that. The last 10% counts. Guys, did I tell you I like to take knives, sell them, and buy guns with them?
Oh yes,
It's kind
You mentioned
of
that.
like an arms dealer, isn't it?
that's what it is.
Could be.
Looking for a brand new or used firearm in or around Hartselle, Alabama? Head on down to Byford's Gun Shop and explore their latest offers and deals. On top of a great selection of high quality and affordable firearms to fit your needs, their staff will have you driving away with a smile. Byford's is a third generation business that has been serving customers since 1971. Started by Joe and his father Ernest, the business continues to prosper well into the 21st century with Jeff Byford's knowledge and leadership. With brands like Benelli, Glock, Sig Sauer, and many others, you won't go wrong. Also check out their large selection of AR-15s and hunting rifles in many calibers. Byford's carries ammunition, special installation service, knives, accessories, transfers, and customer service that's second to none. Stop in and see them at 510 Main Street West in Hartselle, Alabama, or like them on Facebook at Byford's Gun Shop. Their team can be reached at 256-778-3111. That's Byford's Gun Shop, where they go the extra mile to satisfy your shopping experience. Head on over today. They'll be waiting for you with friendly faces.
And they do have some friendly faces. And I tell you what, Big Hand or Jake, y'all come on over here. I'll take you to Byford's. It's a fun experience. So, Big Hand, you been to Byford's before?
I have not. I need you to take me there. I've heard good things about it. But I've
Three
never
generations, and Jeff and his father are still there. The guy who founded it, their grandfather is no longer there. But just even if you're not in the market for a gun, they're actually going to carry my knives at some point in time. I got to get some made and get them over there. But I bought my very first gun from Byford's, and it's been nothing but great customer service after that. Guys, with all that being said, I'm seeing that Jake McCoy is got a crib behind him and a changing table, and the
Diaper
baby.
changes station.
Yeah, and the baby's probably like,
Aw,
what a wonderful portion, or what a wonderful point in your life that you're at. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and sign it off here, and we'll come in and do an after show. And if Jake has to change a diaper, he can do that during the after show. So we will be right back, guys. We love everybody that tunes in here, and we love our knife makers. We love our enthusiasts, and I want you to know that above all, questions, comments, product reviews, show and guest ideas, subscribe and email us at the knivestemplars@yahoo.com. Get in touch with us. You can DM us on Facebook at the Knives Templars Podcast Group. Visit us at knivestemplars.com to stay up to date. This episode was brought to you by the Rivers Experience. Eric Rivers is making beautiful knives, but also visit him out there at TRE Workshop on Facebook. We have added Brian Houseworks at housemade.us. We talked about his grinding and his forging and other equipment. Last Blade Standing. They've announced season 4. We want you to pay attention to that show as it starts to come out. We start to talk more about it. It's the next Forged in Fire. I tell you, it may even be better. It's great. Knife-wood.com. Get your hands on some of Oleg's wood, Ameribraid, some of the greatest grinders and accessories out there. Majestic Forge, Byford's Guns, Pop's Knife Supplies. Man, those 4 guys are getting ready to move into their new building, and they are wonderful supporting our show. Maritime Knife Supply. You don't have to swim to their shop. Take a plane, train, or automobile, but I do suggest that you just go to Maritime Knife Supply, their website, and order today. They'll get it to the U.S. or Canada with no problems. Phoenix Abrasives with Templars 10 and get 10% off of all of your abrasives. And above all else, you can hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Amazon, and Castbox. Again, I'll list the resources. Check us out at Knives Templars Podcast on Facebook. Please join us. And also the the TRE Workshop, that's the Rivers Experience Workshop on Facebook. And finally, our email address is knivestemplars@yahoo.com if you have any questions. And with all that being said, I'm looking up at the sky and...
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky, oinky, oinky.
The after show.
Oh, yeah.
That did good. That was a good show. I like that. I like that.
Great.
Yeah, the new format, running the ads in it like that, probably make editing a little bit better. You guys get to hear what's taking place outside of that instead of virtually. And man, even the strength in the Templars Nation has grown tremendously. Here we have 3 of our wonderful colleagues. We've got Jake coming in for the first time, Dave coming in. Dave, do you go by Dave or David?
Either one, just as long as you call me in time.
There you go. There you go. Roll Tide, baby. And
start with big hand.
Yeah. So BHD and pretty fry for a knife guy, Jason Fry. I tell you what, the strength
that needs to be a T-shirt.
It does. You know what? We were so popular this year. We were walking around with the I identify as a knife maker. My pronouns are it will cut. You wouldn't believe the number of people. My wife was mad. She goes, I told you if you made those shirts, you could sell them at Blade Show. So maybe next year, Jason, you need a shirt that says pretty fry for a knife guy. I'll do the artwork for you. Jake, you did a great job tonight.
Well done, Jake.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good work too.
Thank you.
Yep.
What y'all got going on this weekend?
Well,
so I think we're going to Atlanta tomorrow, because we got some friends that are traveling up from Miami to go to Atlanta. So we're gonna head there tomorrow, and then that's pretty much it as far as I know.
Yeah. What's your favorite place to do it? What's your favorite place to go to in Atlanta?
Like I said, I was born and raised here. I lived in Columbus, Georgia, Harris County, Georgia, all the way up until I was about 17.
Yeah.
And so I've always lived about an hour and a half south of Atlanta, but we never really came up to Atlanta because
who needs to go to Atlanta, right?
I know that was the thing, but now with being with Tegan and everything, she's the type of person, she loves to travel and she loves to go see things and get out of the house and stuff like that. So when I lived in North Carolina, all 5 years I was there, I barely saw anything just because I'm a very regimented person, doing bodybuilding and working at Microtech at the same time. I was going straight from work to gym to home, and she's definitely got me out of the house more, and we've been traveling a good bit. So
well, y'all go down into Buckhead and find you a nice expensive Brazilian steakhouse and get you a seafood tower with some lobsters all over it. And
I love Brazilian steakhouses. It's so good.
Dave, what you got going on this weekend?
I'm working this weekend, so yeah, I'm having to work.
Keeping everything flowing.
Keep all the water flowing. That's what I do.
Go. Hey, I've about decided I flip-flop back and forth on whether I'm going to make an RV or buy an RV. And, RVs fall apart in about 5 years. So by gosh, I'm just going to build me one. And right now I'm contemplating, do I get a 8.5 by 16 by 7.5 foot tall utility trailer, or do I just go out and buy a flatbed trailer and build on top of that? So when I get there, I may take you up on design and putting it together. I can put it together and everything, but it's always fun when you got a couple beers and a couple guys working together on things. So
I'll definitely make.
Then I'll take you out, and as long as it's got 2 beds in it, we can sleep in it together. Kind of like Jason Fry and I when we went on a honeymoon together. We slept in separate rooms.
Oh, there you go.
Something like that.
Fry, what you got going on this weekend?
Man, last week I was down at the beach down at Corpus Christi, except it was for work, so I didn't actually go to the beach. And this weekend I'm home for a second, and then next week I'm going to San Angelo, Texas, which is kind of out in the western plains. Yeah. And then the week after that, I finally am doing something cool. I'm going to Alaska to go salmon fishing.
Oh my gosh!
I have never been. It is seriously on the bucket list, and so we're finally going to go.
So I have a question. How do you pronounce that? Is it salmon or salmon?
I said salmon. It's kind of the way I grew up.
I used to say salmon. But
I'll ask the Alaskans when I'm there and see what they prefer.
Well, is it Alaska or is it Aska?
Couldn't tell you.
It's all about the L. I don't think that normal people pronounce the L in salmon.
Yeah, just Alabamians. We say salmon patties.
Okay.
Well,
salmon.
My salmon comes in a can.
Yeah, I've eaten plenty of that.
Let me tell you, I've seen the video, the meme online. If a grizzly comes up to you and wants your salmon, you just raise your hands in the crane position, like and you kick him between the legs, and he runs off. So just keep that.
That's what they say.
First thing you got to do, though, once you get in the crane position, you got to point up and say, "Look, an eagle!"
Yes, exactly. and then kick him. Man, that's a trip of a lifetime. Good for you. I'm going trout fishing. I'm like, you just.
That's pretty good too.
Just one up,
Jason. What part of Texas do you live in?
I live in Lubbock, so like you go like through the pretty part, and then further past that, and out to the ugly part, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, Lubbock is famous for that singer who sang that song. Look at you, Peggy Sue. I don't know where you go. Oh, Peggy. Where do you go?
Buddy Holly is from Lubbock.
Where do you go? Poo?
Something like that.
Fritch, so they're not too
Is that
far
how that song goes?
Yeah, Fritch is up there in the plains as well.
Is that how that song goes, Dave? You're music. Close enough.
Yeah, 9.5 out of 10, Chip.
Yeah. Right. That last 10% is pretty important.
I think I screwed her up then, baby. That's a $2 that's a $2 song, not a $20 song then. So
right.
Don, what are you binge watching on Hulu this weekend?
Man, we've been Mama loves that show called Alone. That y'all ever watch that Alone?
Is she trying to tell you something?
No, we like it, man. We was watching that called Alone and Frozen. That's a pretty good show where they go out and drop them off in the.
Oh yeah, where they take them out in the wilderness and
drop them
it
off.
Really is.
Yeah, big time. And,
that's as close as a show ever got to somebody actually dying on TV.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Have y'all seen that show, The Tracker, where they take these people and drop them off somewhere, and they've got a map, and they've got to make it to a certain point, and then there's 2 people on horseback that track them and find them. If they catch them, they don't win, but if they make it to that point, then they get a prize
tracking?
or something. I think it's called Tracker. Are you looking it up, Chip?
No, but I was thinking of that movie Apocalypto, and I'm thinking somebody starts tracking me, and I'm getting like snakes and beehives and little spring traps that send spears into you. It's like, that horse guy's not finding me. I'm winning the $50,000.
Yeah.
Did y'all see the movie Y'all see Apocalypto? Yeah.
Yes.
Apocalypto.
We all missed it. No.
Man Tracker.
Okay.
Man Tracker's the name of the.
Okay. All right.
Well,
of course, that's.
I can't say I would walk into a room full of dudes at the guild and say, "Hey, you guys, have y'all seen that show Man Tracker?" Because we'd all look at you funny.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it Tracker Man on a horse.
Tracker dude. Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, man, what I got going on, I got a I got a grandson. He turns. We have a party for him tomorrow. He'll turn
How old's he
6
going to
years
be?
old. 6 years old, man.
6 years
Yeah.
old. 6 years.
Fun times, fun
How
times.
how what's the spread on your grandchildren?
I got one 17, one 13, one 6, fixing to be 7. The other one fixing to be 6, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. She's 4
All
years old.
right.
Don, you
Oh,
got
wow.
What about you, Dave?
son?
The youngest is, well, the youngest is 4, and the oldest is 14, and I've got 7.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're
I've
awesome,
got
man.
two. I've got two. You've heard me say it before, but two little 3-year-old petri dishes, and that's why I was out for the last couple of weeks. I actually, that strep throat's been going through their house this week, so they didn't come over for dinner tonight. So we are there, guys. I am working on the tuna frying pan slash slicer right now. I want to tell you something. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. How I learned how to grind that thing, but Don, I love you. I
I
love you
know
to
you
death
do, don't you,
because
David?
you know how I ground that, don't you, Don?
I do. When I seen it, and I said, I bet he used. I know what he used on that one.
Yeah, don't tell a soul. Don't tell a soul because I'm not letting that out of the bag. But
Well, it
I
looked like
know
you
it.
machined it.
It
It
did,
looked
and you know
really
what?
good. It looked
You know
good.
what? And then I went and sanded it and got rid of all the lines that were crisp that made it look like I machined it. But
Yeah.
I wanted that look. But I will tell you that thing you turned me on to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and well, I'm not one at keeping a secret. Knife making's not about secrets, is it?
No.
Y'all need to go out and get y'all a tilt platen and a tilt table from Ameribraid, and
I was about to say
yeah,
one at my
you put
shop
that
too.
thing on there, and what's perfect with a straight blade, you can do anyway. But on that blade that's got this curve that goes across it like a baseball diamond, you put it on there and you hit that round edge and just roll it around as it's touching, and it almost looks CNC. And I was like, I'm the greatest grinder in the world, and I know that's not true, but man, those guys at Ameribraid or whoever makes your tilt platen and tilt table. My gosh, I think I just told the world, but anybody that doesn't listen to this episode, we're not going to share that with them because. And if anybody ever wants to know how I did it, let me know. I'll send you pictures, or Don can. It's basically I set my platen at 46 degrees just only because I couldn't dial it into 45. It kept bouncing back and forth, but it sit at 46. I was like, that's good. I zeroed it out there, then I adjusted the platen from 0 degrees off of that up to 3.5 degrees and got that beautiful grind out of it. So I would have never in my lifetime been able to just to hand grind that on a vertical platen, but I think it'd have been hard for a lot of people to take a knife that wide and do it. But
Pretty heavy too.
it is very heavy, and it's amazing how much weight's come out of it after grinding it out. But it's for people that don't know, it's you can see it on my Facebook page. It's I call them tuna cleavers, but it's an Asian tuna knife, and it's for taking a huge fish, and it works as an axe, a saw, a fillet knife, a rib stitcher. It does it all. So, do I enjoy making them? Not so much, but they're not difficult. It's just a lot easier to make smaller
What
knives.
was your edge thickness?
I took it down to. I talk in terms that you probably don't like, but I took it down to a dime's thickness before I harden it.
Yep.
Only reason I use dimes and nickels is because
Yeah,
that's
isn't it?
That's what, about 40 thousandths.
yeah. People understand that when you say a dime or a nickel,
45.
and if I'm working on an axe or something like that, I'll take it down to about a nickel and go from there. But what I'm going to do is take it down. I took it down to a dime's thickness, and then I'm going to sharpen it at 25 degrees. Should be enough for that knife. So I've got some Oleg wood to put on it. So I hope it turns out real well. It comes with a nice case, like a gun case that it goes in, and some sharpening supplies. I always I sharpen it right at 25 degrees, match it up to a Lansky, and I send a Lansky with it so that they can sharpen it if they don't want to take it to a professional sharpener, and with instructions on it. So too much about me and that, but that's what I'm working on this weekend.
Yeah, that's the reason why, Chip, I bought that AMK, because I had so many guys ask me about sharpening their knives, and I just didn't want to use my 2x72, and plus my AMK sharpener is portable. I can put it in my pickup, take it down to my dad-in-law's, and sharpen their knives.
Well, that you made a good point because we said that, hey, my knife sharpener was $250, but it's only because I had $4,000 into the piece of equipment that it's attached to, and that's with all the accessories and everything. So, what's the Ameribraid Majestic? Is that about $3,000 or so? Somewhere around there. But regardless, you can
about
look at it.
$3,200 for the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a $250 attachment unless you've got the equipment to attach it to, but you've got a great $800 reason for that. And I should have made that clearer on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's I went that way because there's a guy, he does this professionally and sharpens knives, and that's what he uses. And I said, I'll check in on it. I also got the AMK horizontal grinder too. I never
The
mentioned
horizontal's
that
phenomenal
here,
too.
Yeah, I got the
I'm
horizontal.
I'm in the process of pricing out a variable speed drive, a motor, and a plate to build myself a disc grinder after our last episode.
Sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and build one myself because you can do it much cheaper that way. Um, and it's nice to build stuff as a maker. But I do want to say that I was going to talk about Wicked Edge, and I forgot to bring that up. That Wicked Edge is another great one, but it's like a very expensive Ameribraid, or excuse me, a very expensive Lansky,
about
because it still
$1,000.
takes forever, and it still takes forever to sharpen an unsharpened blade. One got a on that. It's excellent for blades that are already have an edge on them, and you want to clean them up. But for $800 and I'm not speaking bad of them because everybody's got their favorite brand, but to spend that kind of money on something that's going to take that long. If you're just doing hobby a knife here or there, it's different. If you're trying to get them out much quicker, you need to look at something more automated like the AMK or some of the other solutions we talked about.
Yep.
So, you guys, you ready to go to bed?
I'm ready.
You guys that aren't, you guys that are listening, it is now 10:15 for Jake.
It's
It's 9:15. Yeah, but I've got a bottle of Bullet down there that says, "Hey, come hug me good night." So, guys, what do you say to that? Do you say good night?
Good
Let me
night,
hear you say
guys.
good night.
Good night, guys. Y'all have a great week.
Good night, guys.
Good night, folks.
And good night to my good friends. And as I'll always say, we are so blessed to have you guys that are tuning in and listening. You don't know what that means to us. I'm blessed to have these guys that come in here on a moment's notice. Big Hand, one of the greatest giants you'll ever meet. Jason, sweetest guy in the world. Jake, man, you've got the whole world ahead of you. The world is truly your oyster. And Don, we're riding off in the sunset as two wise old men. But I tell you what, if you were my next door neighbor, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. That's what blessings are all about.
Amen.
And with that, all I have to say is good night and
oinky oinky oinky.